The grand unveiling of the Zenith Hotel was a spectacle to behold. Media crews, influential personalities, and socialites filled the grand lobby, sipping champagne and applauding Emeka Nnamdi, the man behind the architectural masterpiece. At just 35, Emeka had cemented his reputation as one of Nigeria's finest architects. Yet, as the cameras flashed and accolades poured in, a chill crept up his spine, a vague unease he couldn't shake. The land on which the Zenith Hotel stood had a murky history. Locals called it Ani Ojo, the cursed ground. Years ago, the land was at the center of a gruesome murder that left a wealthy man's son framed and a young woman dead. Ritualists had allegedly used the site for their dark purposes before it was sold for development. Emeka had heard the rumors, but as a man of science and logic, he dismissed them as mere superstition. The celebration ended, and the guests departed. Emeka stayed back to soak in the quiet grandeur of his creation. It was then his phone rang. A private number? Hesitant, he answered. A trembling female voice whispered, "Please, help me. I'm trapped. I'm here." Before he could respond, the call ended. Convinced it was a prank, Emeka decided to investigate out of curiosity. He took the elevator to the top floor, where construction had been delayed due to unexplainable issues. The hallway was eerily silent, the air heavy. A faint sound, like a muffled sob, drew him to the last room on the floor. Inside, there was no one. The room was bare except for a thick layer of dust and an odd glint on the floor. Bending down, Emeka picked up a broken glass dagger, its jagged blade smeared with something dark red. His pulse quickened as a cold draft brushed past him, carrying with it a faint, sorrowful cry. Clutching the dagger, Emeka felt the weight of something ancient and malevolent. This was no prank. Someone, was reaching out, and it was just the beginning. Emeka couldn't sleep that night. The image of the glass dagger, smeared with what he now suspected was dried blood, lingered in his mind. He had taken it home, unsure why, but its presence in his study made the air feel oppressive. Every time he closed his eyes, faint whispers echoed in his ears, a woman's sobs, desperate and haunting. The following morning, Emeka's unease deepened when his assistant called, panicking about an investor backing out of their latest project. This was the first domino. By noon, 2 more clients had withdrawn their contracts, citing sudden, personal reasons. Emeka tried to salvage the deals, but his calls went unanswered. By evening, his wife, Ngozi, confronted him. "There's something wrong, Emeka," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been having nightmares. Someone is in our home. I feel her, watching." "What are you talking about?" Emeka asked, forcing a laugh. But his wife's eyes were red with tears. "That thing you brought home," she whispered, pointing toward his study. "It's not normal. Take it back to wherever you found it. Please." Emeka dismissed her fears as coincidence, but deep down, he felt the same unease. That night, as Ngozi slept, he stared at the dagger. Its jagged edges seemed to glimmer under the dim light. Against his better judgment, he reached out to touch it, and the moment his fingers brushed the blade, a vision hit him like lightning. He saw flashes of a young woman running, her cries echoing through a dense forest. Blood dripped from her hand, clutching the same dagger. A shadowy figure loomed behind her, dragging her to the ground. The vision ended abruptly, leaving Emeka gasping for air. The next morning, he sought out Jide, his childhood friend turned pastor. At Jide's church, he recounted the events, showing him the dagger. Jide's face paled. "This isn't just an object, Emeka," Jide whispered. "It's a tether to a restless spirit, a victim of betrayal and vengeance. And now, you're in the middle of it." Jide's words echoed in Emeka's mind as he sat in the dimly lit church office. The air seemed heavier here, as if the weight of unspoken truths had settled in every corner. Jide leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "The dagger ties you to a tragedy, Emeka," he said. "The spirit is angry, betrayed. You've awakened something that was meant to stay buried." "But why me?" Emeka asked, his frustration mounting. "I didn't kill anyone. I just built a hotel." Jide sighed, rubbing his temples. It's not about what you did. The land carries a stain, and now the spirit sees you as its witness, or its enemy. Determined to find answers, Emeka dived into researching the land's history. Late into the night, he uncovered a chilling story. Decades ago, the land belonged to Chief Okoro, a wealthy man with a reputation for ruthlessness. His son, Chike, had been accused of murdering his fiancée, Emeka, with a glass dagger after she allegedly betrayed him. Chike was disowned and disappeared, his innocence never proven. The land remained cursed by whispers of the tragedy, untouched for years, until Emeka's project brought it back to life. The next day, Emeka confronted Jide again. "You knew about the land's history, didn't you?" he demanded. Jide avoided his gaze. "I heard the rumors, yes, but I thought they were just that, rumors. Until now." Something in Jide's tone didn't sit right. Emeka began to suspect his old friend wasn't telling him everything. His suspicions were confirmed when he overheard two members of Jide's congregation discussing the church's sudden growth. "Pastor's been doing wonders lately," one said. "People come because they're afraid of that cursed land nearby." Realization struck like a bolt of lightning. Jide had been exploiting the fear surrounding the land to grow his ministry, and now the truth was clear. He'd known about the curse all along but had chosen silence for his gain. Furious, Emeka confronted Jide. "You betrayed me," he spat. "You used me to feed your lies." Jide's face darkened. "You think you're innocent, Emeka? The curse isn't just about the past. It's about what you'll do next." The tension between Emeka and Jide lingered like a heavy cloud. Days turned into restless nights as Emeka wrestled with his growing sense of doom. The whispers in his home had grown louder. His wife, Ngozi, had packed her bags and left, unable to endure the oppressive atmosphere. Desperate for answers, Emeka decided to confront Jide one last time. He found the pastor in his dimly lit office, pacing nervously. "If you know how to end this, tell me now," Emeka demanded. Jide hesitated, then sighed heavily. "The spirit wants justice," he said. "The dagger is the key. It must be destroyed at the site of the original murder." But what?" Emeka pressed. "There's a price," Jide admitted. "To sever the spirit's tether, you must offer what you value most. This isn't just about breaking a curse, it's about balance. The spirit takes as much as it gives." The words sank like a stone in Emeka's chest. What did he value most? His career? His memories of happier times? Was he willing to lose it all to rid himself of this nightmare? Despite his doubts, Emeka decided to act. Armed with the dagger, he drove to the forested outskirts of Lagos where the murder had allegedly taken place. The area had become overgrown and abandoned, the remnants of an old shrine barely visible beneath the thick foliage. As he stood there, the whispers turned into anguished cries. Shadows flickered at the edge of his vision, and the air grew icy. A figure appeared, a translucent silhouette of a woman with tear-streaked eyes. "Emeka," she raised her hand, pointing at the dagger. Emeka felt a crushing wave of emotion. Sorrow, betrayal, anger. Her voice echoed in his mind. "You carry the weight of my pain. What will you offer to set me free?" Suddenly, visions overwhelmed him. Ngozi smiling on their wedding day. His first major architectural project, the joy of success. The spirit wasn't just asking for a sacrifice. It was demanding his memories of everything that made him whole. Trembling, Emeka lifted the dagger, preparing for the ultimate choice. Emeka stood in the heart of the forsaken forest, the dagger's jagged blade cold against his palm. Around him, the shadows thickened, and Emeka's spectral form hovered, her gaze piercing yet mournful. The whispers had become deafening, carrying fragments of her pain. Betrayed, abandoned, forgotten. "What do you want from me?" Emeka shouted, his voice cracking. Emeka stepped closer, her translucent hand gesturing toward the dagger. Her voice, soft yet commanding, echoed in his mind. "Everything you are, everything you love. Only then will I rest." Visions flooded his mind once more. He saw Ngozi's laughter, their quiet moments of love and shared dreams. He saw the pride in his mother's eyes at his first architectural award. Every triumph, every cherished memory, played before him like a cruel film, reminding him of all he stood to lose. His heart pounded. If he gave up his memories, would he even recognize himself? Would life be worth living? But as Emeka's cries grew more desperate, he realized there was no other way. To free her, he had to lose himself. With trembling hands, Emeka raised the dagger above his head. "Take it," he whispered. "Take it all." The blade shattered into a million shimmering fragments, dissolving into the air. A wave of searing light enveloped him, burning away his memories like dry leaves in a wildfire. He fell to his knees, gasping as the weight of his past vanished. The forest grew silent, the air lighter. Emeka's figure stood before him, her expression serene. "Thank you," she whispered before fading into the dawn. When Emeka awoke, the forest was empty. He stumbled back to his car, his mind a blank slate. He remembered nothing, not his name, his wife, or his work. Weeks later, Emeka wandered the streets of Lagos, a man without a past. One day, he passed a cafe where a woman sat, her eyes red from crying. It was Ngozi. For a brief moment, their eyes met. She froze, hope flickering in her gaze. But Emeka walked past her, his expression blank. The memories were gone, leaving behind only echoes of what could have been.